The year was 2013. I had already started my YouTube channel and I was getting really into a new aspect of fishing, lure making. More specifically, pouring my own custom soft plastics. I was really into this. I was making my own custom molds, buying my own plastic, heating it up in a microwave, adding dyes and glitters, and pouring my own custom soft plastics. Let's be honest, most of the soft plastics I made during that time frame looked like absolute trash, but there was one soft plastic that was my crown jewel. Plaster of Paris mold here, custom made by me. One that I was very proud of and I was super excited to start selling.
All original designs, all original colors.
Yes, I tried to start my own custom lure business and let's just say I didn't sell any of them. Despite the failed lure business, this one particular lure that I had made from scratch has always stuck in my brain. The molds and the lure have been lost to time. But today I plan on recreating that lure from scratch, bringing it back to life, and finally catching a fish with it. Now this particular lure that I was so proud of was one that I named the Nessie worm.
First off, I'm gonna pour the Nessie worm right here.
Reason being, it looks kind of like a Loch Ness monster or some sort of a dinosaur, plesiosaur type creature. This was kind of my take on the traditional lizard, but I wanted to give it some extra flair and character. All right, so in order to bring this bait back to life, we first of all have to have a mold to pour our plastic into, and the way I used to make molds back in the day was start off with modeling clay right here. What I would do is take this clay and I would shape it into the shape of a lure, and then I would pour a plaster of Paris over it, pull the clay out once the plaster had dried, and voila, I had my mold. Now, like I mentioned, this bait has been lost to time, so the only real reference I have for recreating this lure is my own memories and some video footage. All right, so I'm gonna start off by making the actual body of this bait, and for that, you just take a bit of clay, and I'm just gonna roll it into some sort of a cylinder. Just gonna roll this out till I find kind of the right thickness here. All right, so as you can see, I have this nice cylindrical shaped piece of clay. I'm gonna set this aside. All right, the next step is obviously to make the tail of this bait, and this is actually a crucial step because if the tail is not good, then the bait's not gonna have a good action and it's gonna be pretty much useless. If I remember correctly, the way I made the tail back in the day was to actually take this clay here and roll it out into a very thin kind of noodle shape. The next thing I'm gonna do is just kind of fashion it into the rough shape of my tail right here, something like that, and then I'll actually take my thumb and press this clay out flat. Now obviously this is pretty rough still and I'm gonna need to tweak it a little bit. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is take this little knife right here and actually clean this up, give it some nice edges, and give this tail a little bit more of a refined design. Alright, so as you can see, I have the basic shape of the tail mocked up and done. The next part is going to be to actually attach my main body of the bait to this tail. I'm just actually gonna just rest this right on here like this and actually smash this down and just kind of work it in there. Alrighty guys, you can see this is the main body of our bait right here, and this is the tail all fused together into one piece of clay. Now as you guys remember, this bait has a number of other little details on it. The number one thing on this bait though is the little fins that come out the sides. So for those, I'm actually just going to use a tiny little ball of clay, and I'm actually just going to press it flat like that. And it actually creates a little fin. Then I can just kind of slide it under this thing like this. Yeah, just pull it out a little bit, just like that. Press it in there. I'm going to take my tool here and just try and fuse some of that clay together like that. There you go. Alright, so I just finished the bait right here, as you can see, got all the details figured out, and I just put this cardboard barrier around here like this, and I'm mixing up some plaster of Paris right now. And I'm just going to pour that in there, and that's going to be my mold. Alrighty guys, the first pour is done and I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I have to say, my pouring technique needs a bit of work. I'm a little rusty on it, but nevertheless, I'm very excited to see what this bait looks like once we actually pull it out of the mold. This is kind of the first pour that I've done, kind of the first prototype. We're gonna see what it looks like. If it's any good, does it look like trash, does it look good, who knows? We'll find out when we demold this thing. Alright guys, it is time to unmold this bait. Let's see what it looks like here. Dun 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 dun. Alrighty guys, this is the first pour of that mold, as you can see right there. We did a pretty good job of actually getting the shape of the bait. We did have an air bubble right there that kind of kept the back fin from forming, but nevertheless, not bad for the first pour. Alrighty guys, after a number of days of work, 2 different mold variations, and countless plastics poured, I am excited to finally show you the finished product, the Nessie worm brought back to life. Here it is. I have to say, just holding this bait in my hand and seeing it in the flesh after all these years is quite sentimental, actually. It's quite incredible to actually be holding this bait again. I originally first designed this bait 8 years ago, so to see this bait in the flesh brought back to life is fantastic. But there you go. This is the Nessie worm. As you can see, I modeled it after some sort of a plesiosaur / Loch Ness monster type thing, and I absolutely love this design. I don't care about how practical it is. It just looks really cool to me. The little flippers on the side, the dorsal fin right here, the big boot tail with all these ribs, and the 2 little eyes up front make this bait just so cool, in my opinion. And like I mentioned back in the day, this was one of the coolest things that I had made. I was super proud of this bait. But that being said, let's put this bait in the water and actually see what the action is like. Well, the main way that I rigged this bait is on a belly-weighted swim bait hook. As you can see, once you put this bait in the water, the action of the bait is actually, in my opinion, very good. The tail's got a nice swimming action in the water. This bait has a very interesting profile, definitely, and these little flippers actually wiggle from time to time, which is a nice touch. Now, 8 years ago, when I first designed this bait, I never actually caught a fish with it. I did take it out and test it and test out the action, which I was very excited about, but again, I never caught a fish with it. So now that we've brought this bait back from the dead, we brought it back to life, it is time to take it out and finally catch a fish with it. Alrighty guys, so I'm out here this morning testing out the Nessie worm, trying to catch a fish with it, and so far I've had 2 fish on and I haven't landed anything. Been a bit of a slow morning. I think one of the main reasons is the fish are scattered out. I was here before and the fish were very concentrated into a couple of key areas, but now it seems like there's been some rain. The water level has actually risen in this swamp, so it spread the fish out a little bit more. Way out there's a lot of open water, and I have a feeling there's a lot of fish out there. The only problem is in order to get to it, I have to cross this spot right here. Thankfully, I brought extra clothes because today we're gonna have to get wet. There actually is a land bridge that continues on over there, but in order to get there, I have to wade through this. Alrighty guys, so like I mentioned, I want to get to that land bridge way over there, but in order to do that, I have to wade through the water. So here goes nothing. I have no idea how deep this water is, so that's gonna be fun. I have a feeling it's gonna be at least a couple feet deep. Okay, yep, it's getting deeper, it's getting deeper. Water is actually a lot colder than I thought it was going to be. A lot of weeds out here. But again, like I said, not totally sure. Okay, not too bad. The cool thing about this spot actually is I've made it across fairly uneventful, and now I can access some other spots back here. This is all unexplored. I haven't been back here yet, so I'm eager to see what it's like. Had a fish whack it right there. Try and get out a little farther without dying in this mud. I'm actually wading through this muck to try and get out to this open water pocket because I know there's aggressive fish out there. Yep, there you go. Fish on. Fish took it. Got him. Finally got a fish on the Nessie worm. Get out of that muck. He's down in that muck now. There we go. It's a good one. Oh yeah, come here, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Nice bass right there. Alrighty guys, it has been a frustrating morning, but I finally caught a nice bass right there on the Nessie worm. Check it out. This bait just fell right out of his mouth right there. Beautiful fish, probably go 2.5, 3 pounds. Awesome. It's so exciting to use this old lure design that I made way back in the day, bring it back to life, and actually catch a beautiful fish with it. And with that fish catch, this experiment has come to an end. I was indeed able to bring the Nessie worm back to life, to bring it back from the dead, to resurrect an old childhood creation, and I was able to actually take it out and catch a fish with it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had a ton of fun recreating this lure from my childhood and actually taking it out and catching fish with it. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, definitely let me know down in the comments below. There were some other really crusty lures that I made back in the day that could be really interesting if I would bring them back to life. So if you guys want to see more videos like that, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys want to support the channel, be sure to check out the links in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay hooked. I'll see you later.